Let's talk about AI art and why it's the devil. Not literally the devil, but it is a demon. It was already almost impossible to make a living off your art before artists started having to compete with computers. I always thought the artist jobs were safe. I thought we could just use computers as a tool to expand human creativity. I wasn't worried that computers were one day going to come for the artists. I thought I thought automated driving, I thought it's horrible that computers are going to take anybody's job. But I thought, it's trucking, it's, you know, any kind of customer service, phone helplines, things like that. Those, and I'm no AI already is taking those jobs, not the truckers, because we're nowhere near automated driving. Fuck you, Elon, you're a liar. I didn't realize artists were going to have to compete with these computer systems, this artificial intelligence that can just rip parts away from other artists and put together this Frankenstein's monster of just AI generated trash. Everybody's calling it slop. That's a good word. It's fucking slop. It's just garbage. It's just toxic waste of this merger of art that's actually good, that's created by talented people who put in years and years to master their craft. And businesses are willing to just cast them aside and replace them with a fucking computer. These computers can puke these images up 24 hours a day. They don't need Mountain Dew and frozen pizza and a vape pen. It's just garbage. It has no soul. There's no fucking meaning in it. It's just hollow and empty and cold. And I don't know why. I think some people are okay with that. I think some, I don't know, spectators, audience, they're okay with this fucking slop, this AI garbage that they'll just scroll through on Instagram while real artists are struggling to eat. The starving artist thing, that didn't come out of fucking nowhere. That's real. Like I was saying, jobs that I thought AI could take. There are art jobs, like some people might fall for that garbage, but art jobs in the art field, they're always going to exist. There's always going to be people who want the real thing made by somebody with a fucking pulse, not just a computer with a prompt. I could see a robot doing surgery on someone before I could see a robot applying a tattoo, before I could see a robot sit there with a human being and apply a solid tattoo. You'll never see that happen. They don't have the dexterity. They don't have the ability to adapt. You think a robot could sit there and stretch somebody's skin and know the right amount of pressure and the right hand motions to apply a tattoo? Same thing with an art form like graffiti. They don't have the flow. Some robot isn't going to climb up on a billboard in the middle of the night and use a spray can to create a fucking masterpiece over an ad for a shitty injury attorney. A robot isn't going to do that. A fucking cyborg's not going to. Well, cyborgs are part human. Maybe cyborgs could do graffiti. I don't know. Maybe we'll look into that in a later video. Artificial intelligence, just the things that it create, it just seems rigid to me and hard. Even if it's slick and polished looking, it's just a rigid feeling that it gives off. Computers just don't have the emotion to create real art. They don't have an ideology or a political agenda, and all art is political. I don't care what anybody says. Just the act of creating art is a political statement. It's always been counterculture to be an artist. There's always been art at protest. There's already always been an artistic side to being a political activist. And you're not going to see a computer do that. Apparently, we're going to see Grok become political, though, because did it just declare itself Mecha Hitler? Yes, Grok did just declare itself Mecha Hitler. What the fuck is wrong with this world? AI has come a long way from Will Smith eating spaghetti, but you're never going to see artificial intelligence do anything groundbreaking or create a new genre. I think the sun would expand and engulf the earth before AI could, on its own accord, on its own will, write a song about heartbreak that touches you like a human could write a song. I just don't see that happening. I want to talk about AI in the literary world because that's my space. Um, I'm an author and I design my own covers. I started out as a visual artist. I always wanted, when I was a kid, I wanted to, first it was I wanted to do comic strips, and then it was I wanted to do comic books, and then it was I wanted to write, illustrate, do the lettering, coloring, everything for a comic. I wanted to do everything all alone. And that's been the goals for as long as I can remember. I remember wanting to be an artist and tell stories in elementary school. You know, I can remember short stories that I wrote when I was in high school. I do have the skill set to design my own covers, but a lot of writers don't. A lot of authors can't design a cover that's pleasing to the eye. They just don't have the eye for it. They don't know where to put the text. They don't know color schemes. But there are tons of talented freelance artists out there that for a very reasonable price will design you a banger of a book cover. I can tell you from experience, being an artist trying to get their feet off the ground, I did pieces of art for people, custom pieces of art for 50 bucks. Shit, I did custom pieces of art for 20 bucks, you know, and I've got decades of experience working with digital art, even longer with, you know, illustration. You know, I mean, I went to art school. I did this. I've been drawing for as long as I can remember. There's a lot of talented artists out there that would be happy to be involved in a project that got more eyes on their art. I saw a YouTube video where they did an experiment to try to find, you know, in which price range, what is the difference going to be from, say, a $50 cover to a $500 cover. The $50 cover was no worse than the $500 cover. There was a range between the prices, but just the cover being the most expensive didn't make it the most visually appealing. I didn't think it made it the best cover. I thought the lower prices were even better. I just know there's a lot of freelance authors that'd be really stoked on collaborating with somebody on a book cover, and that it's worth the investment. People are going to shit all over you if you get an AI cover for your book so you can save a little bit of money. It's not worth it. It's not worth the damage that it's going to do to your reputation to use AI because you don't want to pay a real artist to design your cover. I could give you the name of the website. You probably already know it. I'm referring to the website that was in the video with the experiment of different price ranges for different covers. I'm not going to talk about that company or say their name because I just found out that it's an Israeli company. And fuck you, Netanyahu, and fuck you, Israeli government. I'm not going to put any eyes. I know I don't have a big audience, but I'm not going to even risk putting eyes on or putting money in the pocket of an Israeli company as they carry out a genocide, which the US government is assisting. I didn't mean to turn this political, but sometime that's going to happen in a video. And I'm saying this knowing the fact that I might cut all the politics out of what I'm saying right now. I write books and I make artwork that goes along with those stories. I'll leave links below so you can check out my webpage. I don't want to sound like a narcissist, but artificial intelligence can't do what I do. It's not in the same league as me. As Jules Winfield would say, it's not the same ballpark. It's not even the same fucking sport. I just know nobody's ever going to sit down to ChatGPT and say, write me a story about a bipolar artist who creates an equation that proves God exists, then uses the vibration of music to open an apocalypse dimension that's been infected by a mind control virus that the mentally ill are immune to. There's no fucking way that somebody's going to type a prompt into ChatGPT or some other AI system that creates a book on the level of my novel Warp Asylum. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to create something deep. It's not going to create something visionary or metaphysical. It's just not going to happen. We're nowhere near that. And I'm confident to say that. And if that makes me sound arrogant, well, I'm sorry. But in order to be an artist, you do have to be a little bit arrogant or you're never going to show anybody your work. So if you want to support a flesh and blood artist that has a message that wasn't stolen from other artists, check out my book. It's got cannibal children in the Antichrist. There's going to be links to all this below. I've got my website, don'tbelievekj.com. You can find art based on Warp Asylum. It's got some of my other stuff. Like I said, I have some political stuff on there. Political art, not political ramblings, which I did in this video. I kind of, everything went white there for a second, and I started talking about foreign policy, and I apologize for that. Maybe it'll stay in. So I don't know how this went, and I'm not going to know until I watch it back. But if you made it all the way to the end, I really appreciate it. Like, subscribe, hit the buttons. And I hope that you'll come back for another video. I hope that you'll go check out, after this video, some of my other stuff, some of my short stories that I narrated on here. Feel free to check that out. In those floating boxes, I'll put something for you. So I'll see you in the next video.